Hi, I'm Renee Tuga. Welcome to another video where I share stories from the edge of my personal experience, which for me is that line in my life where things are evolving or have recently shifted. That's what I call the edge, where there's change happening. And I have an exciting announcement to make about a big change happening in my life, and that is that I am starting grad school in the winter. So I'm filming this December 2020, and I'm starting in the winter 2021. And this is a video about that decision. And this will be interesting to you if you have ever found yourself trying to figure out what to do with your life. I'm not saying that my experience is going to tell you what to do with your life, but if you have likewise had to make a decision about your life, you might find this interesting. Especially in the context of midlife careers after mothering and homemaking. Lots of people do shifts in midlife, and for those of us who come out of those full-time commitments to homemaking, homeschooling, mothering, it's a bit of a different experience, and that's what this video is about. I love people's stories about how they decide, what they decide. So like what their decision is and then how they came to that decision. I love hearing those things. How they evaluated the options in their own life to chart their path. And that's what this video is. So here's the story. 3 years ago, I had to get serious about joining the world of the gainfully employed. And I've talked about that in a lot of places on my blog and Instagram, and I won't rehash that here. I will leave links to that story in the caption section for this video, so you can refer to that if you're interested. Prior to that period, 3 years ago, I had been working on and off in a content creation freelance capacity. So building content, making content, but on a freelance basis since 2011, when my children were 8, 10, and 12. I'm a homeschool parent. Actually, I'm just retired as of late summer, and there is no pension, just to give you a heads up. So it's a retirement, it's a pensionless retirement, but I'm done that part of my adult life and done that career. So because I've been doing that for so many years, I've always been working as a homemaker and a mother and a homeschooler. But when my kids were like late elementary and into middle school age, I wanted work in the world beyond my home, but from home. I wanted to stay home. I wanted to be there with my kids, but I wanted to be able to earn some money. Just like many other stay-at-home moms who work from home for financial and personal development reasons. There's many of us that want to do that. So I did stuff on and off for 7 years, all related to blogging and online content creation. I wrote little ebooks, I participated in bundle sales, I did freelance writing projects, I did homeschool coaching, and I also did a very large video project with my husband when we hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2014. So it was a mishmash of different things, in part because I was just kind of figuring out what I could do with what skills I had, what interests I had, and what resources were available to me. 3 years ago, I needed to start contributing in earnest to our finances on a non-mishmash basis. And I need a drink at this point. So my brother hired me to help him publish a podcast and maintain his website. Excuse me. All this talking. My brother hired me to help him with his podcast. I actually had sent him an email saying, I have these skills. Do you know anybody who needs them? I'm looking for work. He said, actually, I could need them. So that's how that happened. I also got a gig as a local event host for tech recruiting events. And I started a Patreon account to earn money from my blogging and podcasting. So I guess it was kind of more mishmash, actually. But I did have a part-time job as an anchor that I was like, this is the thing that I know I'm going to earn roughly this much per month with this gig, right? So there was a part-time job as an anchor. And so that anchor job changed early this year when I started working part-time as a virtual assistant for Tailwind in their marketing team. And I got that job in part because I had done previous video here on Instagram. I had done video social media posts in like February saying I was looking for work, and a friend saw that, and that was part of what got me that job. So, doing these videos online actually has some useful purpose in my life also. So that's kind of where I'm at like right now with my work. 18 months ago from now, or 18 months actually out from graduating our youngest child from homeschooling. So that was about 2 years ago. So when I was 18 months away from knowing that I would be retiring from homeschooling and that career would be over in my life, I started to get serious about planning what I would do when that period of my life ended and when that work ended. I bought a career planning book. It was actually this one right here. What color is your parachute? I bought this book. I considered career counseling. For a while, I was looking at local career counseling places, but I have done and had done by that point a lot of self-evaluation, so many different personality tests, skills assessments, Sparks test. I've done Clifton Strengths. I've done a lot of tests, and I love them all. I love all that exploratory process. And so I feel like I'm a fairly self-aware person. And although I don't have a great sense of the different options in the wider world of work, in terms of the job titles and the types of work, there's just so much out there. And my world has been largely at home. So how am I supposed to know all those different titles and places in which people can work? Like, I don't have a great sense for that, but I do know my own major marketable skills, those things that make me employable and worth monetary value to a company or enterprise. And I also know my interests. And I also know the marketable skills that I want to grow, because, some things we can do and we don't actually want to pursue those. Just because we can do them doesn't mean we should or that we want to. So I have a sense of that. Even if I don't have a sense of like all the different job titles out there and what all there is out there for work. So with that knowledge, I opted to chart my own path instead of, paying like $1,000 plus for career counseling, because that's what it was looking to be like. Which isn't really geared towards people in my position anyways, coming out of homemaking and homeschooling. There's not like a huge market of us. So not to say it wouldn't have been helpful, but $1,000 was a bit steep. And I went with the book and the self-evaluation. And I have to say I didn't finish the book, because generally I'm actually terrible at finishing this kind of nonfiction books. If it doesn't have a story to draw me through to the end, it's unlikely that I will finish. However, I do pull from these kind of books what I need. I pull what I need to move on to the next step. That's what I did here. I got as far as this flower exercise, which was actually very helpful. It's almost midway through the book, and it's actually near the end of the self-evaluation process anyways. I got as far as that. And that was really useful to summarize how I see myself at this stage of life, what kind of work I want, my life goals and purpose, how I define that, my knowledge base that I have, my skills, my fields of interest, all those things were assessed by that point in doing the book. And so in the self-evaluation process and the work I've done for different clients and employers and projects over the last, I guess 7+ years, almost 10 years, I guess, on and off, but most recently especially, though, doing that work has helped me identify some of my chief transferable skills and self-management traits. And So things like I'm a good communicator, a supervisor and coordinator. I'm organized and naturally good at administrative tasks. That's kind of what I do in our home. I'm very good at management. I love to analyze ideas and improve systems. I really love working within systems and improving them. I'm very dependable and thorough and trustworthy, responsible, self-motivated. That's just the energy that I have and also the way I am. And I also care deeply for individual well-being, and I'm very human orientated versus product orientated or system orientated or data orientated. I really care about people and their well-being. I love systems, but it's more about people flourishing and thriving in those systems. Having identified traits in myself, transferable skills, interests, and that kind of thing, the question I had to answer was, where can I apply and grow these skills? And turns out there's lots of places. It's not so much a matter of where can you, it's more a matter of where do I want to apply and grow these skills. In what field? In what part of society? What part of society do I want to contribute to? And to answer those questions, I asked myself more questions because I love doing that. So things like evaluated, what is my background, my employment history, my education, my vocational history, and what parts of those pieces of myself and my background speak most strongly to me now. Like what still resonates? What am I feel like I'm pulling with me still at this point? I also had to evaluate my lifestyle and financial goals. Because we all have them. You know, where do I see myself actually living, or the possibilities for living, and what are my financial goals for my future? And then what are the community resources available to me in my context that are going to help me advance these things? Because we all have different resources available to us in our context, and what are mine? And how can I take advantage of them and utilize them? So I did another thing during all this questioning, which was part of my process of figuring this out, is I interviewed women who had already or were in the process of making a transition from homemaking, homeschooling focused careers to post-child raising vocations and careers. Because there's not a lot of us. I don't think we're like a majority, but they do exist. We do exist. And so I talked with these women. This project is called Second Bloom, and it currently lives at my Patreon. And I learned from those women and gleaned so many things from each conversation, and I really appreciated the wisdom that was shared with me and the things that I could process for my own life. And overall, I have to say, I was really grateful for the experience of this whole process of the last 2 years. And it was unsettling at first because I don't like heading into the unknown, and I didn't know what I was going to arrive at after going through the process. I didn't know where I would land. I knew what I was working with kind of going in, but where would that take me? What would I end up at the end saying, okay, I'm going to pursue this thing? I didn't know. That's a little bit unnerving for me. Also, a thing that's unnerving and difficult is that not all things are possible at this life stage. That's true for wherever you are, but when people are younger, we tend to be like, all the things, they're all possible. That's not true either for that stage, but it feels a little bit more. You've got less commitments and responsibilities. I'm at a place in my life where there are definite limitations in my options. And some of the parameters of my life when I started this process felt like restrictions. Like, oh, I think I'd like to do that, but oh, I can't because of where I'm already at and decisions I've already made in the past and that have where they've taken me to this point. So felt some restriction when I started, but as I went through the process, those restrictions started to feel more like guardrails guiding me and signposts on the journey. So they weren't like a bad thing. They were a positive thing that assisted me. you know, because not all things are possible. That's a good thing because it limits my choices a bit, because I think it'd be overwhelming if everything was available. And truly, the limitations that I have, or I perceive having in my life, they can be perceived as opportunities also, because the limitations have you in a certain place, and there's opportunities that are available to you in that place because of other limitations in your life. So that's how I reframed that and looked at that. This is what I have to work with, and then asking myself the question, what can I do with that? And I have to be honest that I have a lot of privilege and opportunity within the limitations of my life. There's a lot that is available to me. There's definitely some things that aren't, and there's some things in my life, the ships that have sailed, that I will not be able to, achieve those things. But there's still a lot of opportunity. So looking back on the last 2 years, I really love what I've learned about myself in the process. As I prepared the outline for this video, I revisited notes and documents that I've written, because I write so many things. Like whenever I get ideas, I just write them down. They go in Evernote. And then I search later, and I can search for keywords and things, and I can pull those things together to get a picture. And when I looked at the things that I've written over the last 2 years, I'm actually delighted with the sense I have now of knowing who I am and what I'm about in this life moment. A sense of knowing that I did not have 2 years ago, and certainly not a sense of delight. That I didn't have that sense of delight 2 years ago either. It was more uncertainty about where this process would lead me. So I'm really pleased about arriving at that place. And through this process, I'm just now starting to get to the kind of announcement part of this. Through this process, I decided that I wanted to return to school to get a master's degree. And specifically, I wanted to go to school here in Montreal, and I wanted to study education, not in the classroom teacher sense, but at the foundational and philosophical levels that influence the policies and systems that govern how we do education. It's not about becoming a classroom teacher, it's about the philosophy and policies around education. And so I just want to explain to you how I settled on my decision to apply to grad school. And spoiler alert or whatever, like I did get in, so I applied to grad school. But even making that decision, and that was like a year-long process for me of evaluating, like, is this what I want to do? Do I want to apply? And then going through the actual process of applying, which involved a lot of documentation, finding, and getting reference letters and writing statements of purpose, that kind of thing. So there's a lot involved in applying. So this was kind of the decision-making process, even in before applying and making the decision to apply. And then I did get accepted. So here's how, I decided to apply. First of all, I'm a thinker, and I'm also a writer. I'm a doer also. I like getting things done and doing things. But I really love studying and learning. And learning is a driving desire of mine. It's this through line in my life. It's a thread. And I want to be challenged to evaluate and develop my thinking. I want to become a better thinker. Grad school seems like a great place for that. Ultimately, what I want is a career where I can contribute to human growth, development, and flourishing through thinking and communicating. There's so many different options available to me, but I have narrowed it down to that. That's what I want to contribute to in the world. And I want to do that through critically assessing and implementing better human supporting systems. I want to assess things, I want to analyze things, evaluate things, and I want to be part of implementing better ones, better systems. Systems should serve and support people's needs, not the other way around. So then why education? Because there's multiple places in the world in which that are focused on like human growth and development and flourishing. So why education? Well, my background is in education. I have a bachelor's degree in education, and I have a homeschooling career, and I actually have a lot of passion and interest for education. It was a little bit of a no-brainer for me, but there are other avenues to go into, but education, I chose it for those reasons. Just let me look at my notes. So education is the place that I can focus my interests, energies, and meet my career and lifestyle goals. I'm hoping, right? And in terms of finding a place that we want to contribute to society, there's so many different ways to do that, right? There's like business, and there's people who go into medicine, there's commerce, there's family life and home life. That's a big one, and I've done that. I feel like I've checked that box in my life. There's law, there's the arts, there's government, there's science and technology. There's all these different, and there's more, right? But there's these different aspects of society, and we make contributions to them. And I guess what I'm saying is I want to pursue a contribution in education. So another reason for applying to grad school is that I live in a city with amazing education opportunities. I don't want to do distance education. I mean, the pandemic aside, it requires remote learning, but I didn't want to apply to a distance program for my master's. I feel really energized being on campus. And I also want to belong to something locally, to be a part of something. And so much of my world is online. All my work is online. A lot of my friendships and connections are online. And I really do want to root myself to a place and community more. And a school is one of those places that you can do that. And I'm really excited about that part of this story. So another reason for pursuing grad studies is that the time is right. This is the perfect time for me to go to school. We've committed to staying in the city for another 5 years, to provide the home base until our youngest is done her undergraduate education, which she's planning to do. So that's like 5 years from now. And so we're here, we're going to maintain an apartment here. We're residents here. Why not take advantage of great opportunities that are here? And lastly, which has to do with being here, is that the schools, post-secondary education institutions and like universities are very affordable in Quebec. Quebec has the most affordable undergrad and graduate programs in Canada for its residents, and I'm a Quebec resident, and it's very reasonable costs. So for, I don't know, about $9,000 to $10,000, you can get a master's degree. And that seems very doable for me over a few years. And it seems like a very good investment into my future and just also into my interests. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to be going to school part-time. I'm starting in a little over a month in January. I would like to be working in education maybe before the end of my program, but we will see. I will continue to work in what I do already, which is not directly related to my career goals or my studies, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be. The skills, I enjoy the things I'm doing. I'm using my skills and growing skills in writing and content creation and web management and administration, research, social media. All those things are going to serve me well regardless, and make me marketable, which is always something that, I have at the back of my mind, that I have marketable skills that can be applied to the thing I want to study, or even independent of that. That's what's up. Then that's why I made this decision and applied, and I ended up getting accepted, and which is really thrilling just to have somebody say, we want you. And so if you have questions, you can put them in the comments here at Instagram. I don't have commenting at YouTube, but you can send me an email and get that information through my bio. And if you have maybe a similar story, I'd love to hear, how you decided to pursue whatever it is you're pursuing in the second half of your adult life, or if you just want to say hi feel free to do that. So that's all I have to share with you today, and thanks for watching. We'll be back here again sometime in a few weeks. Bye.